have the power.
Hey Hero fans, this is Todd, and many of you know I've been trying to get a really cool dragon for many years, and you can see here, this is the dragon coming out soon from the Four Horsemen. I'm pretty excited about it. This should be the actual size of what it's going to be, and in the excitement of getting it, I decided to get this dragon that I saw years ago in this box right here. Let's open it up and take a look. It's funny, I seen this in the store so many years ago, and I almost bought it many times, and I didn't. And now, years later, I decided to get it, and so I had to get it on eBay at eBay prices. But yes, it is very small. Very small. But when I first saw this dragon, I think I was at one of the craft stores my wife goes to, and I was looking around at the cool stuff. I thought it was so cool. What I loved about it was its clear wings, and you could see kind of all the stuff in the wings and everything, and it's got 4 legs and a tail, and but of course it is way too small for He-Man. It'd be like a little pet dragon running around. But I decided I wanted to get it because we're getting this pretty quick. And I thought, you know, I always said if I could get this in a large size, that would be awesome. And there it is, right there. Giant size version by Four Horsemen. So that's why I got this, so I could compare them later on when I get the giant one. And I can see how close this is to what I was hoping for when I first saw this. So anyway, it's got me thinking. I started thinking about, well, wait a minute. If look at a dragon, right? We have all of these myths about dragons all over the world, different countries, everything else. And it's like, well, somewhere these came around to being, these myths. And so I started thinking about how strange this is. And it got me thinking. Imagine if you were a guy and you could live thousands of years, right? And you're like, hey, I saw this giant creature, and it was like a big kind of lizard kind of thing, and it was huge. And you start telling everybody, they're like, dude, you're crazy, right? Thousands of years go by. Let's say you live 5,000 years, right? And then in the early I'll get the dates later on, 1840s, somewhere around there, some guy finds this giant reptile-looking bone structure, and you go, that's it, that's my dragons I've been talking about. Like, no, that's a dinosaur, man. It's not a dragon. You don't know what you're talking about. Dragons are fake, they are myths, they're made up, but this is a dinosaur, and it's real. You'd be like, no, you have it all wrong. Those are my dinosaurs. Those are my dragons I've been talking about all these years. He thought I was crazy. So in this video, I'm going to break down the idea. Now, hear me out. It is kind of a little bit of a stretch at first, but once I provide the evidence, you might agree with me, that dinosaurs are really dragons. Dragons and dinosaurs are the same thing. So let's break it down, and let's go through the facts. Let's have some fun at this. All right. So imagine, if you will, you are back 5,000 years ago. You're looking through the trees, and you see this great giant dragon. And this dragon, he is huge, he is massive, and he is big, and he is scary. So you start telling your friends about this dragon, and they're like, yeah, whatever, man. Years pass because you have a life that can go on for a long time, and 4,000 plus, 4,000 years goes by or whatever, and they discover these things in the ground, these bones. You're like, hey, I know what those are. Those are those giant monsters that I saw that I was telling you about that we call dragons. And this guy comes along, and his name is Sir Richard Owen, and he's like, no, these are not the dinosaurs or the dragons you think. These are what I'm going to call dinosaurs. And he called these dinosaurs after 3 different discoveries of 3 different giant beasts. And he decided to name it Dinosaurs, which stands for Terrible Lizard. So your dragons, not our dinosaurs, different things. Even though they may look the same, even though maybe giant beasts that you can't tell the difference. So let's go ahead and break this down a little further. So you're like, I remember this. I mean, these things were just huge. They were big, and I remember coming up and I was fighting them, and they were monstrous. So let's suppose, for instance, that an archaeologist finds these bones right here. And they're looking at it, and they're trying to figure out what it is. The paleontologist comes up and goes, I'll draw this. I'll take these bones, and I will add skin and flesh to it. So they're imagining how the whole creature is. Maybe the tail's longer, maybe it's shorter. They're not quite sure. Some pieces might be missing, and they come up with this. They're like, hey, there it is. There is your dinosaur. And what's funny about that is the skeleton I just showed you. It's actually an animal that you know already, and that is the ostrich. Even though the ostrich has wings and feathers and everything else, at first glance, it could look like this to somebody who doesn't know what was on there originally. You know, how much muscle tone, how much cartilage, how much feathers, how many, like turtles, they have the shells and stuff. And of course, there could be something on there that creates the scales or something else. We have no idea. All we have is the skeletal remains. They kind of map some skin on it with some muscles, and this is what your ostrich looks like. But again, imagine that nobody's ever seen an ostrich. Now imagine you've seen an ostrich. You're like, hey, I know that creature. That's an ostrich. You're like, no, that is not an ostrich. This is a new discovery we just discovered, and they give it some crazy name you never heard of. I mean, at that point, you think they're gaslighting you. You're like, no, I know this is an ostrich. When I was a kid, I used to ride them. We used to eat the eggs. They were big old eggs. And they go, yeah, we think they came from eggs too. We're not sure though. But these are not. This is part of the dinosaur family. They have dinosaur eggs. We know that dinosaurs come from the bird family. So this is it right here. There is your dinosaur. And so when you think about it, if you apply the same logic, right, to this idea that, here's what it's supposed to be, is this ostrich right here. Well, imagine you take this the other direction. So here we have a T-Rex. And let's suppose we decided to apply the ostrich law theory to this, because we know that the T-Rex has like bones that are similar to birds that are more hollow, and they have the short little arms, which could be wings. And so here we go. Here is our ostrich, our giant T-Rex ostrich. Now, you got to admit that does look pretty silly. And who knows, did it really look like that? Did it not? We don't know. Because we don't know what the outside looked like. We just have the bone structure of what it looks like. And so you can see these can get pretty mixed up and pretty confused pretty easily on what's what and what it looks like when you start to add the skin and feathers. And we've seen dinosaurs recently. They said, well, they think they have feathers. So now the newer drawings of dinosaurs, they actually put feathers on them, which is kind of funny. Because when I was growing up as a kid, we had all these cool, gray dinosaurs, and some people use other colors too. But now they're adding feathers to them. I personally think they're cool without the feathers. I mean, that ostrich, the way it looks like that dinosaur looks pretty cool. But anyway, so this could be what they look like. There's our ostrich and there's our dragon. It's possible. It could be. We don't know. We don't know how much structure that is not bone is on there. Now, of course, this particular rendering, it does have a longer arm, but we know it could be a shorter arm with just cartilage and other things to make that wing protrude out. We don't know. Maybe it didn't have a wing at all. But either way, some of the things they're guessing at how they looked is quite a bit different. So, you're like, I know what I saw. I know what I saw, man. It was not some skin color creature. It was some big, monstrous, fire breathing. Wait a minute. How do we get the fire breathing part of the dragon? I mean, we hear this all the time, right? You hear these old stories where they said, yeah, you know, now granted we weren't there, but we hear about people who talk about these fire-breathing dragons in all different cultures and all this craziness like that. And so I started thinking about this. I thought, I mean, there is that one dung beetle that takes 2 chemicals and mixes it in its stomach, and it creates a spew. It spews out at 212 degrees, and it's pretty close to like fire. It's super hot. But we also have animals and creatures that actually spit like an acid type material. Now imagine if you get hit with an acid, right? And it hits your arm and it starts to eat away at your skin. You're going to say it's burning. Ah, that's burning. And let's say you go and tell somebody else. You say to them, hey, this giant creature burned me. See, look at my scar. It looks like a burn scar because it was an acid burn. And they said, oh, and they tell somebody else, and somebody says, it must have blue fire. It must be a fire-breathing dragon. When it could just be an acid spitting from stomach acid type stuff, or like the dung beetle where it mixes chemicals and then spews it on out. Either way, though, we've seen this in nature many times where it has an acidy type stuff. So that is possible. I mean, flies do that all the time in order to eat their food. So, not unheard of. Now, granted, there is no evidence that that dinosaurs had acid in it. We did see it in Jurassic Park, but that was a fictional thing that somebody made up. There is no evidence that they had actual any kind of venom or any kind of acid, because anything that would be left over for us to see would be gone. It would be kaput. We would not have it to see it. All we have is the bones left. So let's continue on. Now there is one dinosaur, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the name. So I put in the corner here on the screen this little thing that will pronounce it. So listen closely.
Dracorex hogwartsia. Dracorex hogwartsia. Dracorex hogwartsia. Dracorex hogwartsia.
Okay, Dracorex hogwartsia. Whew, that's a hard thing to say. It was discovered around 2003, 2004, and it was found in South Dakota, and they came up with the name in 2006. And the name actually means Dragon King of Hogwarts. They actually named it after the Hogwarts from the series of, what's the kid at the glasses? Harry Potter. And the author of Harry Potter thought it was really cool they named, something after her fictional story. And they named it this way because the spikes on its flat head, and it does look very dragon-like. Now, what's funny is for them to actually say this after all these years, because I've been talking to dragons and dinosaurs the same thing since I was a kid. I actually took a T-Rex when I was a kid, and I couldn't afford to get a cool dragon toy. I got a hand-me-down T-Rex, and I added wings to my T-Rex, and I filled the belly full of talcum powder, and then put a red Christmas light stuffed through a hole that I made in the back. And then what did I have? I had some sort of pump or something so I could take and pump air into it. When I did, it would do a puff of the talcum powder, and the red Christmas light would light it up. So when the lights were off, you'd see this red come out of his mouth. It looked really cool. But again, it was a T-Rex converted to look like a dragon, and that's when I first had this idea of, ding, wait a minute, dragons and dinosaurs could be the same thing. And being I was a kid that was really big into science, at first it was kind of a head tilt, like, no, dinosaurs or dragons are myths, dinosaurs are real. But then, now as an adult looking back at these toys that I have, I'm thinking, they look very similar, and these guys have finally said, we have one. This one we're going to call a Dragon King of Hogwarts. So there it is. I'll play the sound one more time so you guys can hear it. Where is my mouse? There it is.
Dracorex hogwartsia. Dracorex hogwartsia. Dracorex hogwartsia.
So, just because they have the skeletal remains does not mean we know what it looks like. We don't know the skin it had hanging down. We don't know if it had cartilage on other parts. We don't know the muscle structure. We don't even know the exact angle of the bones They're just guessing where they kind of all go by how the structure is. So you have to be careful on how you interpret this stuff. Otherwise, you may end up with these two animals right here. You know, that is hilarious. Yes. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get back to the room and check out this dragon and talk more about some dragons. All right, so here's my setup that I had. Here's the He-Man that I used for the one scene, and here's the He-Man I used for the other scene, so the dragon would look monstrously big, even though he is so itty-bitty little. And let's go ahead and back this up. And back it up again. Go into my toys. Boop. And go into my dragon size. Dragon up. That's so crazy. I am so excited about getting this dragon. Oh, you guys have no idea. And that's supposed to be his actual size. I cannot believe that. It's going to be huge, huge, huge. But you know, while we're talking about dragons, as you guys know, my friend Steve, he made this really cool dragon book. And I told him that when I made my dragon video, I'd show his book. And he was a huge fan of dinosaurs growing up. I used to draw dinosaurs all the time. And then one day he just shifted to dragons. Now, he doesn't know my theory yet that dragons and dinosaurs are the same. I mentioned it one time to him a little bit, and he just kind of gave me a crazy look. But anyway, this has some amazing, amazing artwork in it. Look at this one. The guy with the sword and the dragon head. I'm kind of skimming through the pages. But there is some really cool stuff in here. And this is for sale right now. I'll put a link in the description. And if you happen to be a member, just let me know and you will get a discount on the book. So if you buy the book, my friend will give you a rebate afterwards. Not a rebate, a refund afterwards for $5 off if you buy this. And it's a pretty cool book. Look at that guy. Look at it. Anyway, that's all I got. And put that down. Man, I cannot wait. Every day I check Big Bad Toy Store just to see if they might send it early before second quarter. But they have not sent it early yet, obviously. And it's so funny, too. Like I said, I should have bought this guy years ago. Years and years ago. But I didn't because he was so small. But he is such a cool dragon. You know what? I think I might scan this guy in. See if I make a bigger version of him. Maybe do a few changes. Can you imagine that being that big? Oh. It would be huge. Let's see how many of these makes one He-Man. So we got a 1, a 2, a 3, 4 times the size. That'd be big. That might even be bigger than the one on the screen there. Anyway, I'm not going to make it quite that big because that'd be ridiculous. But still. Yeah, because He-Man here, he goes up to, yeah, like mid-thigh on his leg right there. He can't go under his belly, though. He'll scrape his head on his belly. But up to his head. Of course, his head is lower, but you can adjust it to what you want. Anyway, I know, I digress, but I'm so excited. I'll have to tell you the story about how I bought the dragon. It's kind of an interesting one sometime soon. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Like, subscribe, tell your friends to check out our channel. And I will see you guys next video. Like they say in the 1987 movie. Focus, focus. Focus. I don't know why the focus is so far off. I must have bumped it with my hand. There we go. Good journey. Bye now.
If you found enjoyment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Do it.